I wanted to talk about how the concept of think like a guest came about and how you can use it in your daily operation and just how incredibly powerful it is. The idea of think like a guest is simple. It's just putting yourself in your customer's shoes. And it's something that I believe, unfortunately, not a lot of businesses do. And I see this as a huge competitive advantage. This is so easy. And I want to give you an example of a client of mine who has just used this. And so I have a little mini case study. This client is the director of a museum and he handles the guest experience. That's his entire job. He doesn't have to deal with raising money and he's not a curator, but his job is supervising and leading everyone that you would interact with if you were a visitor. So he works with security, he works with the front door, and he also works with the team. He collaborates with another colleague who leads the food and beverage aspect of the museum. But this person deals with membership and ticketing and coat check, anyone that you as a regular customer, a regular visitor to this museum would interact with. These are the people that you see sometimes walking around in museums with vests and offering guidance. We were talking about ways to up the hospitality in his organization, his department. They were having challenges with ticketing and with coat check. Anyone who's ever worked in a museum or maybe gone to a museum or even run a theater understands that the first hour can be kind of mayhem. Because what happens is if the museum opens at 11 o'clock, the doors are closed and then people line up. People like me I'm a tourist. I always want to be the first one there because, one in the afternoon, it's really packed. They really wanted to improve the experience for that first hour. Okay, so that was their goal. I introduced the idea, the principle of think like a guest. And he said, wow, tell me more. This sounds really interesting. And I explained that it's something that I started doing, I think, at Union Square Cafe. And it's something that I have since used in a lot of my businesses and with other clients. What we talked about and what he did was he scheduled his team one day to come in a half an hour early. Normally they open the doors at 11 o'clock and everyone has to be in their positions. And as soon as they open the door, hundreds of people go into the museum. This is a place where they serve thousands of people every day. And so what they did was he got his group of about 12 people who were working that morning shift. He took them out the employee entrance and stood on the street waiting for people to line up. And by about 10:45, there were a couple hundred people in line waiting for the doors to open. And as he talked to his team, they had a little huddle and said, well, what do you see? Oh, well, I see people waiting. I see an elderly couple, with canes. I see people with little kids. I see families. I see couples. This day happened to be a cold day. There were people bundled up. And when you think, part of the idea of thinking like a guest isn't just considering what that guest experience is like while they're in your business. It's starting from the time they leave their home or office. And I encourage leaders to do this whenever they can, but at least once a year, to pretend you're a guest or a customer in your business one day. And instead of going to work, pretend that you're going to shop at your store, go to your doctor's office, or go to your restaurant, or in this case, your museum. And one by one, these people, the employees of this leader, started to say, wow, that old lady has been waiting for 25 minutes and it's 40 degrees out. She must be cold. That woman with the 2 kids, she has to wrangle these kids. And that must be really difficult for her because it's just her and 2 kids. And the leader I'm talking about, as soon as he did this, he said that the amount of empathy and hospitality that his team showed immediately and for the weeks since has increased drastically. Because even though these are great people, they kind of just saw these guests, these visitors, as people that they had to take care of. They had to check their tickets. They had to check their coat. They had to go through their bags to make sure their security was taken care of. But instead, they now saw them as human beings even more by going outside, by literally stepping outside of the business, these employees had a new perspective. Please try this. It is so simple. In this case, it took the manager time to schedule the staff. He had to pay those 12 people, or the organization had to pay those people for an extra half an hour. The 12 people had to show up a half an hour early for such a small investment of time, energy, and money. The rewards were exponentially more than the investment. And I really encourage you to try this. Please shoot me a DM, connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. I would love to walk you through it. I know it will make an impact. I've done this so many times. It works every time. You'll learn at least one or two or three things. And more importantly, your team, especially if you do this exercise with your team all together, they will realize that they each have a responsibility to think like a guest and to take care of customers like they never have before. So try it out. Enjoy.